Yo, what's up? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you get your podcast needs from, Apple, Spotify. You know what time it is. It is 7 o'clock. Each and every Wednesday. I've been off the last couple of weeks, dealing with sickness and a death in my family, but everything's all right. Everything's back better. Back again with Sports Talk with KC. You know what it is every Wednesday night during football season. Game day preview brought to you by Titletown TV. Um, we got a quick show for you guys tonight. We're just gonna preview this weekend game from NFL and college football this week. Like I mentioned before, a couple weeks ago, we do have NBA games coming up. Preseason is upon us. Um, I don't want to overreact to what's going on right now with a lot of teams, but my Lakers are looking really good right now. So once the season starts, we're gonna give our predictions on who's gonna win every conference, conference standings, playoff predictions, stuff like that. Here in a couple weeks, once the season start. Also later down the line, as far as NFL football and NCAA football, we're gonna do a mock draft also as well. So be looking out for that. But for right now, X's O Sports Game Day preview will be with you for the next few weeks, previewing the biggest games, man. And also we're gonna talk about some stuff that happened the weekend, especially the things that happened with the Dion and Eddie Robinson Jr. Bama barely holding on against Texas A&M. Bryce a Young injury, the shakeup in the AP poll, predicting NFL games for this weekend. Got a really tough one we're gonna talk about later on. I know some of y'all might know what game that might be. Really tough game to call. But yeah, man, let's get into it. Oh, before I start, I almost forgot. Yeah, your boy got a book. Your boy got a book. Starting to get back into a little reading, but this time let's just hit close to home. My family member, Dev Long, as we call him, Deverick Long, is uh, is here with us um, here soon in a couple weeks, days on this channel with his new book, Music at Dinner Table: Notes and Recipes from a Hip Hop Foodie. It's a music review slash cookbook that teaches you how to cook these different recipes. It also talks about his love for hip hop, different certain songs, how certain songs kind of can relate to these different foods he's made and these recipes. Dear to his heart. On the back of the book, it says, as the founder of hiphopfoodies.com, recipe developer and music journalism, Derek Long discovered early on that food and music pair perfectly, and that conversation with the two is even better. While bringing a list of recipes in his debut cookbook, Long made sure to bring the music and conversation as well. Long blends personal narratives with music analysts using hip hop and R&B soul that resonates with certain parts of his life to tell coming of age stories. These stories emphasize self awareness with subject matters of social awkwardness, confidence, ambition, love from a black millennial perspective. Man, go get a copy. Go get a copy. Music at the dinner table, notes and recipes from a hip hop foodie. Living Long is definitely a hip hop foodie, man. He's a big boy like myself, loves food, uh, obviously, but what I'm saying, he cooks those down in the kitchen. Well as he's a great music critic, food critic as well. Go check out his website and his book, Hip Hop Foodies. You can find it on Amazon where I found this at, as well as his new hat I copped you, boy. Got the Thor, the strongest Avenger hat. But yeah, man, let's get into some sports, man. Uh, First, we're going to get into a big week in Alabama football, not just UA football, but all the football schools here in Alabama. First off, we have Bama versus Texas A&M, who took on Texas A&M here at home, barely hung on to beat Texas A&M 24-20. While missing starting quarterback Bryce Young due to injury, Jalen Merrow filled in pretty well. Some people were very critical on his performance, but hey, this is the first time ever starting in a big SEC matchup. Uh, Big game far as as we were going into the season, having playoff implications. We know Texas A&M have been on a downside of things, dealing with injuries and moving parts amongst their lineups and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, man, we've heard so much with noise being talked by both sides and Bama. And once the game started, what I'm saying, we started on the field. Both teams played their hardest. A&M the brought what I'm saying, to fire back. Bama was going back and forth with them as well. Jalen Merrill, like I mentioned before, didn't probably have his best game throwing wise. Probably doesn't make the same throws. It's not able to throw the same throws as Bryce Young, but he is a capable quarterback who's very good on his feet. Will definitely develop as a better passer once time goes on, more experience. Maybe next year, once Bryce is going off to the NFL, he gets an opportunity to be the man next year. We'll see how that goes. Um, Number two game we'll talk about. Number two Georgia playing Auburn, 42-10. First half was very close. First quarter 0-0. I think it was like 14-0, 14-3 going to halftime, and then the third quarter we really saw, third and fourth quarter really saw Georgia put it on Auburn this weekend. Uh, we got to see a lot of Brock Myers. He continues to show why he's the number one tight end in the country. Uh, Still don't know what's going on with Eric Gilbert just yet. Stetson Bennett's been lights out. Still should be out up for the candidacy for Heisman, especially with Bryce being hurt the last couple of weeks. Should bring him down a little bit. Stetson Bennett should get some consideration far as the Heisman winner goes. A few stats from the Bama game. Jalen Merrill was 12 for 19, 111 yards, three touchdowns, did throw one interception, was sacked four times. Four times. Um, wasn't Alpha's line best game, but also wasn't his best game at far. He did hold on the ball a little bit too long sometimes, and also he did decide to run, and it cost him. He did was able to have 17 rush attempts for 83 yards and no touchdowns. Jamar Gibbs, another guy who should be considered for the Heisman, is probably on the best team and is maybe our best player um, outside of Bryce Young. Had 21 attempts, 154 yards. Uh, got it done a little bit in the passing game. Had 13 yards, three catches. We are seeing Gibbs really become a go-to guy for Bama. While Bryce is hurt, as well as when Bryce is here, he has found him very comfortable as a receiver out of the backfield. Um, so that does make Bama a little more versatile. Um, UAB. Uh, They beat Middle Tennessee State 41-14 this past weekend. Pretty easy win for them. If you not have watched UAB and that defense, you need to. That linebacker core, one of the best in the nation. That linebacker, what's his name? Taylor. It should be considered one of the best linebackers in the country. He's sideline to sideline, bring the thunder. We'll see how his draft stock happens right now, but he's definitely one of the players to look out for. Texas A&M beat Grambling 37-31. Class matchup by HBCU schools, SWAC conference. Troy beat Southern Miss 27-10 over the weekend. Um, South Alabama had a bye this week, and in the game might have been talked about more than the Texas A&M Bama game. Honestly, Jackson State versus Alabama State for Alabama State's homecoming. Jackson State goes down to Montgomery and beat Alabama State 26-12. There's a lot of talks about how um, Deion Sanders could sort of kneel the ball towards the end of the game, kept running plays. Um, Eddie Robinson Jr., the head coach, former defensive back uh, for Alabama State uh, in the 80s and 90s, had a lot to say about Deion Sanders doing that. Uh, how much talking about how much he didn't respect him, how he's not swag enough. Um, We saw it in the post game handshake. Eddie Robinson didn't really embrace Deion Sanders, kind of push him away. Uh, in certain instances, that might have caused the fight. Both coaches walked away from it. I know Coach Prime was very lost for words of what happened, and then he had a lot to say once he heard what Eddie Robinson said about him not being swag enough. Honestly, I guess I can't be the one to call because I didn't go to a swag school. So I probably am not the person that's qualified to consider anyone swag or not. Y'all do that, but in my opinion, Deion Sanders is very much swag. He is leading Jackson State as the best team in the SWAC. His son, Shadir Sanders, is should be a Heisman candidate in a lot of our eyes. He is playing very well this season. His team is playing very well. Um, for Eddie Robinson, we know what he did at Alabama State years ago, being a second round pick in the NFL, All American, academic All American, um, 2 time I think SWAC Player of the Year. So both guys that make a case of who's swag or not. I mean, maybe you can consider Eddie a little more swag. He did play there, did come back and coach there. I know there's a lot of talks of Deion Sanders possibly leaving Jackson State and going to a Power Five school. I do honestly see Deion Sanders staying a while at Jackson State, building up the program as well as the rest of the HBCUs and the SWAC itself, getting them more on TV, getting more involved in the media and getting their faces out more so their players could go to high drafted, get highly drafted, and things like that. Who was in the wrong? Um, I think Eddie Robinson probably took it too far. I can't see what he was saying about Dion not kneeling the ball and probably could have took it a little easier. But hey, man, if this y'all homecoming, y'all guys planned it. Y'all, you know how good Jackson State and the rest of that um, uh, Jackson State team is. Um, they're very good, and you know they're going into it. They played the game just like y'all do, and they won 26-12. That's 14-point victory, man. It pretty handily beat y'all. Um, maybe I could have played someone a little weaker, and I had a great homecoming. I'm sure the experience was great for the alumni and people who went there. But what a great weekend for Alabama State. Moving on to Bryce Young injury update. He nearly started last weekend. Bama kind of swerved us and stuck with Jalen Merrill, which proved to be both. I guess you could say it hurt them, but they still won. I guess you could look at it either way. Probably could have played a little better under Bryce. Play calling would have been a little different. Might have could have passed the ball a little more. Could have been a little less one dimensional. We did run the ball a lot with our staple running backs as well as Jalen Milrows out of the quarterback position. Um, question is, will he play against? Will Bryce Young play against number 8 Tennessee? A lot of people say he shouldn't because that doesn't really control what we do in the West. But that one loss could definitely be the killer. You still have an undefeated Ohio State. There's only 4 playoff spots. You have an undefeated Ohio State who's ahead of us now. You have Michigan. Depends on how the Ohio State Michigan game is playing out. This Penn State game they have coming up, how that plays out, could shake things up. So keep winning, and giving your team the best chance to win each game. A number 8 win like this could definitely catapult us back into the top 2 teams. I mean, as long as we're in the top 4, we are in contention for a championship. But right now, I really think Bama should start Bryce Young, give us the best chance to win. Hey, if he does goes down again, we've seen that Jalen Merrill is very much capable of beating a team like Tennessee. That's still much better than A&M, but I think with the experience last week and his faith in God, and he would definitely succeed in a game like this. Um, but it remains to be seen uh, right now. But hey, all we can do is have faith in him and the coaching staff have him ready. Um, AP poll comes out, like I mentioned before, Bama is now number 3. But state at number one is Georgia. They beat Auburn this weekend, 42-10. Auburn did give them a bit of a fight to start the game off, but ended up losing 42-10. Um, they host Georgia hosts Vanderbilt next weekend in Athens. Number two, Ohio State. Uh, they beat Michigan State 40. Oh, 49-20. What happened to 20? Um, they beat Michigan State 49-20, and they'll be on a bye week. And then when they come back from that bye week, they'll be playing Iowa on the 22nd. Alabama beat, like I mentioned before, beat number 20, beat beat Texas A&M 24-20, and playing number 8 Tennessee this weekend. Number 4 Clemson climbs up one spot to number 4 over Michigan. They they beat Boston College 31-3, and we will play Florida State this weekend. Who's also coming off a loss. Um, Number 5 Michigan beat Indiana 31-10. They dropped one spot um, as well. Um, Number 6 Tennessee. I'm gonna say number 8. Number 6 Tennessee beat number 25 LSU 40-13 in a wild game, man. Tennessee made some big plays that make me a little nervous about this weekend. But yeah, they host Bama in Knoxville this weekend. USC number 7 is playing Washington State. Beat Washington State this weekend 45-17. They play Utah, who is now unranked after losing another game this season. Who no number 20 now, who dropped to number 20 after losing to UCLA. After this game, they could possibly be unranked after starting the season off number 7. Uh, Oklahoma State, who's making a lot of noise right now, beat Texas Tech 41-31. Plays number 13 TCU in Texas. Um, Ole Miss beat Vandy the past weekend 52-28. All right, number 14, Wake Forest, one of the biggest surprise teams of this year. Um, beat Army 45-10. We'll play Boston College in 2 weeks on the 22nd. All right, number 15, North Carolina State beat Florida State 19-17, and we'll play Syracuse as well. North Carolina, they've always given certain teams problems, man. And them being ranked in top 15 doesn't surprise me at all. But it also wouldn't surprise me in the 2 3 weeks they would be unranked. So we've seen it a little before. They've always played well in certain parts of the season. So um, seeing them back, seeing them back in the top 15, and like I said, no surprise. We'll see how they play a couple weeks against Syracuse, who's now ranked number 18. Um, with the bye week, or coming out of the bye week. Mississippi State played Arkansas this past weekend, beat them 41-17, and will travel to Lexington, Kentucky, to play number 22, the Kentucky Wildcats. A team we thought would be a lot better this season. Um, did start to get season off hot. Ran into a loss a couple weeks ago. Must bounce back this week against Mississippi State. I'm sorry. Last week they lost to Sarcon 24-14. I'm sorry. And will should bounce back against Mississippi State. Mississippi State is Bama's next home game, which is homecoming. So we'll see how the game shakes up things ranking wise, going into the Bama game on the 22nd. Syracuse, they're on a bye week as well. Going into the North Carolina State game, like I mentioned before, uh, very surprised at the Syracuse, man. They're another team that gives like random big teams fits. You know what I'm saying? Um, they always play Clemson very well. They always play teams like Florida State very well. Um, Next team we have Arkansas at number 19. Arkansas, Kansas at number 19. They did lose this weekend to number 17 TCU 28-31, but Kansas being ranked this high and they were like 13 last week. I think, if I'm not mistaken, or they might, yeah, I think they ranked a little higher last week before they lost. But definitely surprised to see Kansas. One thing about Kansas sports, you think about their basketball program under Bill Self and Nate Smith, guys like that in the past, coaches, the great players they have sent to the NBA. But Kansas, really, maybe it makes a noise, man. They do play Oklahoma next week, who's coming off a huge loss, 49-0 to Texas. Um, we didn't. I know myself personally didn't really uh, think that Oklahoma be as good this year. They were ranked pretty high at one point. At one point, they were like sixth at one point in the nation. Now they kind of came down to reality. They're now unranked after a couple losses this season. We'll see how they play against uh, Kansas, but especially with Kansas quarterback going down, um, we'll see how that affects Kansas in the rest of that season. I really hate it for them because they're really playing really well. Another team who's kind of lost some things. Utah, man, started off hot number seven. Lost to Florida, lost to UCLA this weekend, 42-13. Now they're playing USC this weekend, who's top 10 right now, and they should hand them another loss, man. Honestly, that's my prediction. I have them losing again. Maybe they don't completely fall out of the top 25. Maybe they make it a little closer against USC, man. But I'm like what I'm seeing against with USC. Um, Jordan Addison has proven that he is one of the top receivers in the nation. Caleb Williams is playing like the old quarterback we saw at Oklahoma, and we'll definitely see how the season plays out for USC. Keep an eye on them as they try to climb into that top four. Like I mentioned before, man, Bama can't lose this weekend to Tennessee and think that they can make the playoffs with teams like USC climbing, Oklahoma State climbing. Both Ohio State and Michigan might be undefeated when they play each other later in the season on rivalry weekend. So we'll see how that shakes up. Cincinnati, number 20, number 121 Cincinnati, a team that kind of fallen off the wagon due to a lot of departure to the NFL. But yeah, they've kind of made the best of the season. Have climbed number 21. They beat UFC South Florida this weekend, 28-24, and will play SMU this weekend. Uh, Kentucky, number 22, lost to South Carolina 24-14, uh, and will play Mississippi State. Texas beat Oklahoma 49-0. I mentioned earlier. Um, some people say they would have had a chance. Um, if they quarterback didn't hurt against Bama. And this game might have proved that, man. Quinn I had a great game against Oklahoma, which they are a much lesser team than I think that of them lesser than I do think of Bama, but eh, they probably would have definitely would have turned out a little better if Irish would have played. But hey, man, that would have, could have, should have at this point. That's down in the past. We'll see how the rest of the season shakes up for Texas. Maybe they can bounce back and win the Big 12, and maybe next couple of years once the playoff bracket expands to I think it was 8 now. 12. See where they make the playoffs. Illinois is number 24 now, beat Iowa 9-6. Not the greatest high scoring game. Illinois still undefeated, has played very well this season. Will play Minnesota this weekend, and then James Madison, a team we only really hear from unless it's the NCAA basketball tournament, and they're knocking off one of the top seeds. Yeah, man, they are ranked number 25. They beat Arkansas State this past weekend and will host Georgia Southern. Well, yeah, man, that was the top 25. Um, Please comment in the comment section who y'all think was snubbed in the top 25, who was too high, who was too low, what team you think will get better, and how far they might go ultimately in the season. Who was your top four teams? Are you a traditionalist like me? Like how the top four it started out with Georgia, Ohio State, Bama, and then Michigan, Clemson, Braden at the back end at four, or you think you're gonna shake things gonna shake up, and maybe USC comes falls up in there, or Oklahoma State falls up in there. Let me know how y'all feel. Let's move on uh, to a couple games next week that we haven't talked about just yet. Troy versus Texas State. Um, Shouldn't be too much a tough test for Troy. Troy's playing pretty solid this week, coming off a win against Southern Miss. Louisiana Monroe is back in Alabama, playing South Alabama this weekend now. After losing 6-3 against University of Alabama. Um, Alabama State and Alabama A&M are on a 2 week hiatus before the big Magic City Classic in Birmingham, hosted at Legion Field in 2 weeks on the 29th, Halloween weekend. Fall break for the UA students. Bama's bye week. So if you ain't got nothing to do, go check out Magic City Classic, man. Speaking of Birmingham, UAB will go to Charlotte. They should win the game pretty handily. Why is my mama calling me? She's doing live right about now. But yeah, man, that was your college game for this weekend here in the state. Any predictions you think I got wrong? Please comment your opinions. Let's move on to some NFL predictions for our last segment of the night. Tomorrow night we have the Washington Commanders versus the Bears in Chicago. It should be very, very windy. That is fall in October now. Bears are looking at great. Offensive line isn't protecting Justin Fields as they should. He's not able to get the ball out to Darnell Mooney and those receivers. Run games up and down because of injuries. David Montgomery is producing the way he should. Khalil Herbert has emerged as one of their top backs. Now, I have the Commanders winning this game pretty handily. Carson Wentz has moved the ball maybe a lot recently up down the field. Went over 307 yards last week. So maybe continue today and trends up and get some more touchdowns this time. Uh, other than the last week. Next game we have a battle of the AFC South. Probably the two best teams in the AFC South. The South is kind of down this year. Outside of the Titans, the Jaguars who traveled to Indianapolis to play the Colts, who are 2-2 and with one tie, and they're 2-3. Jaguars are playing very well over the last couple of weeks, especially offensively, getting things going in the run game with both Travis Etienne, James Robinson. Christian Kirk looks like he's worth the $84 million. They gave Zay Jones is coming to a solid number two. Trevor Lawrence is kind of answered some of those questions. Still not. I'm still not so 100% on him in Jacksonville. Not saying he's not going to be a quality starter. Maybe Jacksonville isn't at home, but this year and next year we'll definitely tell what that be true. Um, Next game, we have the Vikings versus the Dolphins. Still up in there whether two will play in this game or not. I know that team is rallying behind him and trying their best to win games with Teddy and company at quarterback. But in the Vikings, man, they've are 4-1, playing very very well. Justin Jefferson is showing he's maybe the top receiver in the whole NFL. Dalvin Cook is still playing uh, maybe the best running back, especially with Dick Henry numbers not being as great. JT Jonathan Taylor um, being hurt now. Nick Chubb, of course, is making his argument with the um, as who's the number one back right now. But yeah, man, Dalvin Cook is doing his thing, bro. Um, Christian, no, no, Christian, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is showing why he's still a quality starter in this league, and why drafting a guy like Kellen Mond, that's nothing for him. Kellen Mond is now a Brown, and he's still the starting quarterback for the Vikings. And with that all being said, the Christian Kirk, I mean, Kirk Cousins and the Vikings win this game pretty close. I think the Miami going to keep this game as close as possible, but I think the Vikes going to pull it out. A game of 3-2 teams is up next. The Jets. Yes, the Jets are over 500 right now. I know the game just started, and they could definitely lose this game and could be sitting back down to earth. But yeah, man, they're playing pretty solid this year. Defense is helping them out a lot. Got the run game going last week with Brees Hall going over 100 yards. Zach Wilson came back healthy, caught a receiving touchdown. Out of all things, as a quarterback, A Rod still struggling to find his top receiver. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm going with the Jets. Yes, the Jets upset the Packers this weekend, in my opinion. Next game, two teams who are who play a lot of up and down. Both offensive line are struggling right now to protect their quarterbacks. Um, Two teams are looking to bounce back. Um, and hopefully start a streak of winning. One team who was in the Super Bowl and another team who kind of fell by the wayside once their quarterback went down, in the Saints. But yeah, Bengals versus the Saints. I had the Bengals winning these games because I think Joe Burrow will bounce back, have a solid game. Hope his offensive line helps him out. Him and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon hasn't had the greatest season so far. Hadn't had the lanes. Those free agents, these big free agent signings off the offensive line has not proven. Uh, I know that doesn't sound very positive right now, uh, going in the game against the Saints, but the Saints are down. Jameis Winston, uh, Andy Dalton has been playing recently. He's played pretty solid. He's done what he's done to get them to the record they have now. But I think this game is kind of would show what team is really legit. I think the Bengals bounce back and get back to form. Man, they are in a very winnable division. Them and the Ravens are really the only two teams right now who can see winning their division. The Steelers with their quarterback situation, starting a rookie quarterback. Uh, no, it's not their year. Ravens having a great season. That's the next game I'll talk about. Actually, Ravens versus the Giants. But yeah, man, Lamar Jackson playing great. So hopefully the Bengals um, get their act together and take this division from the Ravens. Ravens are now 3-2, taking on the 4-1 Giants, who are surprising a lot of teams right now, a lot of people. But I think this is the game that where they run into a superior team in the Baltimore Ravens, who are should get a little more healthier this week. Hopefully, get Rashad Bateman back. They got J.K. Dobbins back in there a couple weeks. Has shown his potential to be a running back uh, with Lamar Jackson. Hopefully, they get more and more out of their young receivers and their tight end Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Watch out for Devin Duvernay, who's been a fantasy stud. If you know, you know. For the Ravens, man. I'm actually going to skip this next game and go to another game that I want to talk about. Um, matter of fact, I'll say the last two games for later. The biggest games this weekend, the last two games. But on Monday night, we have the Broncos versus the Chargers. The 2-3 Broncos versus the 3-2 Chargers on Monday night in LA. The Chargers win this game. Um, both teams are struggling right now. The Broncos aren't getting what they gave away for Russell Wilson. Right as of right now, he isn't playing great. I think he's actually just had a surgery this past weekend. If I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how healthy he is going into Monday night. The Chargers um, have been playing up and down. Um, we've seen, Mike Williams emerge as that number one receiver for them. But Keenan Allen play has gone down a little bit. Austin Eckler has split some time with that staple of backs they have. So hopefully he takes charge as the number one running back. I do have them beating the Broncos simply because they have more talent, and the Broncos aren't aren't trending the right way right now under Russell Wilson and that coaching staff. Um, the game I'm talking about these last two games, the Bills Chiefs and Eagles versus Cowboys, man, the two biggest game of the possibly of the year, man. Honestly, you can see the Eagles and the Cowboys being the top two teams in their division. Eagles still are the only undefeated team. Jalen Hurts is playing lights out, getting a lot of action out of that run game to match his receivers. Had a great game at the passer for Jalen Hurts. The Cowboys, they are possibly have a quarterback controversy with Cooper Rush playing as well as he is. Dak Prescott coming off injury. We'll see how that plays out once he comes back. I think we're at least 1 week away from Dak fully coming back. I think this is a game where they can run into the Eagles, lose that game, and then kind of go from there whether they want Dak back in the lineup or not. Maybe Cooper Rush still plays very well in the loss, and he gets the upper hand. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how they at 4-1. They still have a great chance to make the playoffs, but right now the Eagles are real hot at 5-0 to start the season. And then two 4-1 teams, Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. My Chiefs, I honestly, with the prediction I did, do the homer thing and go on my squad, the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, Not taking anything away from the Bills. They do have injuries in their secondary. They do need to fix before playing against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing lights out. Pat Mahomes is showing why he's the best quarterback in the league. Travis Kelce went off for 4 touchdowns this past weekend. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has shown flashes of that first round pick. Still hasn't quite uh, proven that he's a feature back, but he's done well. It certainly fits that system as a receiver out of the backfield and also a touchdown machine once you get the red zone. As for the Bills, um, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, a guy we knew could have potential to be a great number two. Um, Next to Stephon Diggs is playing very well. This game could go either way. I could have picked the Bills. Honestly, I could have picked the Bills, but I didn't tonight. Um, this game, like I said before, should be pretty close. Should come down to the wire, kind of like they did last year. Hopefully, the Bills don't leave Pat Mahomes that much time on the clock again. Um, but yeah, man, those were the NFL games predictions for the weekend. Uh, Hit me up in the chat, the comment section on games that you think that I should have went a different way with, ones I got wrong. Who you think is going to win these NFL games or these college games in general? Um, if you ever want to be on the show, please hit me up. I'm open to talking with Jay with anybody sports, anybody like that mentioned before. That show is called Sports Talk with KC, and I just want to talk with the people, man. Give y'all my opinions and insight on what's going on in the world of sports. Mostly football. Like I mentioned before, basketball is coming back here soon. Um, in the full fledged season. Probably be doing some, like I mentioned before, some prediction shows on standings and playoff bracket and uh, predicting all stars and stuff like that in the future show before the season starts. Just an overall season preview. But yeah, man, I'm gonna wrap things up now. Before I go, please like, share, and subscribe to Titletown TV. Follow me on all social media platforms. KaRon Twitter Caddell on Facebook. Titletown TV underscore KC on Instagram and Snapchat. Sports Talk on KC on TikTok and Instagram as well. My sports page. Yeah, man. Y'all have a good night. Uh, oh, before I go, man, special happy birthday to my boy Lamar Puller, man. Today is his day, October 12th, 1991. My boy, 31 years old. Clap it up for him. Another year of life. Spent a little time with him earlier, man. We went out, had a good little time this morning. Chopped it up, played some 2K. Just chilled it out for man. Regular Wednesday for us, you know. Um, but yeah, man, we'll see y'all next weekend. Not next weekend, next Wednesday night, 7 o'clock as always. Good night. Peace.